Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very last SPFBOX author panel interview from the Blitz. This is panel number 21. So if you have missed all the others, or any of the others, because Mike and Roe with Bald and Balding's BookTube channel came on and did some too, there is a playlist at the top of my YouTube channel where you can catch up on all 70 other authors that we had. Tune in. But I could not be more excited to be rounding out the panel with this amazing group of authors. We've got Chelsea on, Kay is on, Rebecca is on, and Sandra is on. How are you guys feeling?
Excited.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. So it's good to have you on. Congrats on making it past the coin toss.
Thank you.
Yeah. Blog off. This is so exciting. For those who don't know you, though, we're going to go around, and Chelsea, I'm going to let you sort of kick us off. We'll just go around the circle and talk a little bit about yourself, your experience with SPFBO, whether you've done this or not before, and then what book you entered for this year.
Yeah, so thank you for having me, by the way. This is so wonderful that you put this on. So my name is Chelsea Ann Tompkins. I have a debut novel in SPFBO this year. It is called A Conduit of Light. I'm going to snatch it and show you. And I kind of fell onto what SPFBO was the last one in the middle of it. And I was like, what is this amazing thing about fantasy books? And so just on a whim, I kind of watched it for a while on Facebook, and then I entered going, it's not going to happen. And then one of my other author friends actually messaged me that we both got in. And so it's really fun and exciting, but I'm fairly new to it. So did you want me to talk about my book and what it is? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So Conduit of Light is a romantic fantasy, and it takes place in a magical forest where power is siphoned from the trees, from the roots of the trees, and from nature in general. And a young woman is taken from her home to go train, and she's very reluctant in this. She does not want to do it. And there's a big mystery about why she is taken at all. And eventually she discovers that there's something dark and deadly in the forest, and it's killing it. And she was taken because she's the only one who can really help save the forest. She has enough magic. She's able to siphon. And we learn a lot about her past and history that she didn't even know. But what makes this book very interesting that my readers really enjoy is there's a massive twist about halfway through the book that you either catch on to or you discover it then. And it's just completely eye-opening. It's multiple point of view. And then there's another twist later down the road. So it's really those little breadcrumbs and little hints that I leave throughout this book that my readers are just like, this was amazingly well timed out, and just kind of the flow of the book they love. So I think as an author, what I've discovered with this debut novel is that I think I can write twists really well. And so I'm just in everything I write now. The second one actually just came out, A Baron of Bonds, came out May 7th. So it was recently released, and there's another twist in that book as well. And my readers are loving that too. So this book has a lot of nature magic. It focuses a lot on relationships between characters. There's a lot of found family. And then there's this really epic romance happening the whole time. And it's not super spicy. There's a little bit at the end, but the whole point of the book is really about self-discovery and kind of love's endurance and what it can go through, all set around this magical world and this forest. And there's an enchanted library that's also a garden, and it's amazing. Viridis is so gorgeous, and everybody's like, I want to go there. I wish it was real. But that's Conduit of Light in a nutshell. It's a very twisty, turny, romantic fantasy, high fantasy book.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if anybody's watching, there's going to be twists in this book. You were told by the author up front. There would be twins.
I think, it's like it starts out in such a way that something's going on, right? It like something isn't clicking right. It's multiple point of view, and you're getting this other point of view, and you're like, what is like something's weird about this. So people know they're like, something's coming. And it's like whether they guess what it is or not, which is so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to take this as an opportunity too, while I'm thinking about it, that everybody on this panel, the links to the books are in the description box. So if you get going here and you're like, oh, that sounds good, I have to pick that up, you can grab those at the link in the description box. Or if you want to see even more and make your TBR sadder but yourself happier, you can go on the Mark Lawrence's official blog and see the full list of 300 and grab some there.
Perfect.
Okay, how about you? Tell us a little bit about your experience coming into SPFBO this year and what book you're bringing.
All right. Well, this is actually my first year. I've seen like mentions of it and everything. Like I followed it for a couple of years and stuff like that. So this is the first time I've entered because this is also my debut. And I also was not expecting to get in. I actually had been looking through the list. I had gotten to the very end. I was so happy because I saw several books that I really liked got in. And it took someone else pointing out that my book was also on the list before I realized it was there. I completely skipped over it. So I thought I hadn't made it. But so that was super exciting. My book is the first in the series of The Hunter of Farelden. It's called The Hunter. It follows the main character. It actually starts with him at the end of his arc, where normally you would arrive at the end of a series. And he's gotten his revenge. He doesn't really know what to do anymore. And very much it would have actually ended chapter 1 if it weren't for his annual companion, Greer, who is very quickly becoming the favorite of the entire book. So I don't blame everybody. He's a lovable wolf and adorable. But in not having a purpose anymore, he actually ends up having a young lady steal from him. And Greer kind of takes that opportunity because he realizes she needs help and then his person needs help, and he kind of forces them together. And so a very reluctant, grumpy old mentor basically ends up having to help Addie, this girl that is, you're not really sure where she's from, but she wants to get home. Like there's a story where she's been kidnapped and she's trying to get home, and she's trying to learn to trust this person who, honestly, he doesn't do the greatest job at first with communication and trust. And there's a lot of conflict between his lifestyle and her lifestyle because she's very used to she's in nobility. She's very used to this particular way of life, and he is very opposite of that. And it's an epic fantasy, so it has it hails to a lot of the older, like Lord of the Rings, where there's a lot of journey, a lot of character focus and growth. And one of the favorite parts that the readers have is that character interaction between these three, and how you learn and you grow and you discover the world with them as he's trying to get her home and the chaos that ensues from that. I joke in saying that everyone's scheming in this book, including the wolf, because that's basically how it is. So that's really, it does also have kind of some touches of more of the grimdark and the why someone becomes the way they are rather than the actions that they carry out. It kind of breaks that down and stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not very good at this, as you can tell. I'm pretty nervous.
Two epic books with twists and themes. We're on a good roll. Rebecca, how about you? What flavor of fantasy are you bringing to SPFBO, and what's your experience with SPFBO so far?
This is also my first time because it is also my debut novel. A friend of mine was in it last year and she really, really enjoyed it. And so when I decided to self-publish, I had kind of forgotten about it, and then she reminded me. And then when the results came out for who was going to be in it, she was actually the one that texted me because she's in earlier time zone than I am. I'm in Pacific time. And she was like, "You're in, yay!" So it was very exciting. I am Speak the Ocean, which is Murderous Mermaids at SeaWorld.
Ooh.
And
That's awesome.
so, yeah, basically they don't want to be there. They're being forced to do tricks. They don't want to be there. It's sort of Blackfish meets The Little Mermaid. And so a brand new trainer gets a brand new mermaid, and he's trying to figure out how to train her without being too cruel, because they use something called an electroshocker, which I used to be a fisheries biologist, and what it is a loop that you put in the water, and it electrocutes the fish, and they pop to the surface, and then you net them, and then as soon as the electricity is off, they can swim around again. So, and I accidentally stuck my arm in too far and electrocuted myself when I was doing it. So this is what they use to train the mermaids. When the mermaids are naughty, they shock them. And he doesn't want to do that because he has also been electrocuted with it on accident. So he's trying to do positive reinforcement like you would with a dog. And it's not going well. She has no idea what's expected of her. And so eventually she teaches herself English and starts talking to him. And then he realizes, oh, she's actually like a person, not just the super predator of the ocean. And then he's got to break her out Free Willy style. So
Oh no! And then all the guilt, I'm sure, from the training ensues.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. He almost drowns a few times.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, there's a twist ending, but I'm not going to say any more than that. And there's a very cranky dolphin sidekick.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's captured with her dolphin friend, and he's very cranky. So it's a fun book. I really like it, obviously. I'm writing the second one now, which is not going as well. But I think it's a fun book. So
yeah, second books are hard, especially if it's going to be a series. I've gotten to where I try to write mostly just duologies, because if I know it's the beginning and the end, it doesn't have that weird feeling the second book has, because you're like, I want to do better than the first book.
Yeah.
But then it's also not the end. So it's not like I can just say, here's this climactic ending. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, you can't. It has to be its own thing. Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on in the second book yet.
I never thought I'd hear Blackfish meets Little Mermaid. That is amazing. That's amazing. Those are two things that I just like, what?
I don't know what my brain did.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Sandra, welcome. Congrats on making it to SPFBO. Tell us a little bit about your book. Are there any animal sidekicks in yours?
No, there are not. And no, I'm so delighted to be a part of this group. Thank you so much for having me. I will show you. Well, I'm brand new to this too, and this is my debut novel as well. Although I have a long track record of writing, so I live in Los Angeles, and I wrote for children's television for a long time. So I wrote for Barney, and I've written for Disney Junior's Puppy Dog Pals and a couple other shows. And then
we have you to thank for part of our childhood.
I do love writing for children. And so, but I came to this clarity about Hollywood, which is that, Hollywood is a very challenging place in many ways. And it's also great, but it's also really hard to break through, especially if you're not super connected. And so I realized that there's so many things that are like based on a book. And I was like, well, why don't I write all of my screenplays as books, and then I'll get movies made. So that's my big
I love
plan.
it. End goal. You have an end goal. I love that.
I have an end goal. And so I was going to show you guys what is wrong with me? There it is. Okay. So my novel is called Hollow, and it is being published right now as we speak on Kindle Vella. And it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi dystopian YA thriller. Rolls right off the tongue. Yeah. And it's an idea that I had a long time ago, but basically in 400 or so years after World War 4. There's a domed society that was built by a first trillionaire, maybe like Elon Musk, builds a dome and saves more like 20,000 of pieces of humanity. And then 400 years goes by, and we'll see how humanity has shifted in that time living in this domed world. And so there's a main character, Cherbow Dumondet, who is the daughter of the president. And lots of things happen, and lots of things come on her shoulders to try and help save humanity. So I do have to say, like, writing novels is the most fun. Like, I was a screenplay writer, and I was like, it's screenplay writing. I don't know if y'all do that too.
No.
Okay. So writing screenplays is like such a defined world, and there are so many rules, and you're like in this tight little channel where you have to write very specifically and not be wordy and not do all these things. And when you go from that world to being a novelist, you're like, what is this fun that I was missing with my words? Like, it is just like, you can just have so much fun. So I've had the best time writing novels, and I am starting my second different series right now. So I'm starting my second series of like a fairy story. So it's super fun. So anyway, I am delighted about this whole journey of being an author.
Yeah,
Yay!
so exciting. I'm so proud of all of you putting your debuts in. Last year was my first year of SPFBO, and I had written way more books than my debut, but my debut is the one that I put in. And there's just something, I don't know, this is the most encouraging, supportive contest I've ever been a part of. But there's also something terrifying about getting feedback from the bloggers on your debut. Because I guess I feel like, I don't know, it almost makes you go, am I actually doing this right?
Mm-hmm.
This is for me. So it was a whole lot of weight there, but it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciated Esme's review last year. It was super, super helpful. So I'm curious to know what your strategy is if you have one going in. Like, there's obviously no strategy to win for anybody who's watching this as the first blitz. The book's written, the book's submitted, the bloggers have it. There's nothing else to do. But as far as the outside, facing the community and connecting with readers and growing as an author by seeing the feedback from the bloggers, what's your strategy going in? Rebecca, you want to kick us off?
Yes, my strategy is nothing.
Go with the flow, Rebecca. Go with the flow.
I put my book on sale. I made a graphic for it.
Yay!
That's one more thing than I did last year. I threw it in there at full price because I didn't know anything about SPFBO. And I was like, I'm just going to do this. And most contests, you enter and you put your book in, and then you don't hear anything for months. And then like a year later, you're like, oh, okay, well, nothing happened. Well, the first day of SPFBO, and they're announcing the list, and everybody's like, and my book's on sale, and my book's on this. And I'm like, my book is not as accessible as it should be.
That's what I did too. I was like, oh, crap. I guess I'll go and do that. And I had no idea how to do that. I never had a sale. The book just came out at the beginning of April. So I learned a lot real fast.
Yeah.
But there's so much fun to go in with the flow. To be sure. Have you looked at the blog you're assigned to and like any?
I did look at that. So it looks like they mostly review like big chunky fantasy novels. So I'm like, I don't know how well my mermaids are gonna do here, but
I felt the same, yeah. Like, oh,
but who knows? You never know.
It doesn't sound like you have the standard mermaid book by any means. If the dolphin doesn't get their attention.
Yeah. I love the dolphin. He's so cranky.
I love sidekicks.
I love that.
How about you, Kay? What about your strategy coming in and what you think about the blog? You're assigned to Kitty G's books, right?
Mm-hmm, I am.
Which I thought was so fitting because of your love of the cats.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I hope she likes it. Yeah, my strategy basically is the same. My book's scheduled to go up on sale next week, so I'll be tweeting that out soon. I've just been having a lot of fun just getting to know the different people that are in the community and just posting a lot of pictures of my cats, really, honestly. They like to assist in my marketing. I call my little white cat, his name is Nico. He's my head of marketing because I cannot set anything up without him coming to be involved in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the same as I'm just getting involved with the community and putting things on sale and tweeting is essentially all I'm doing. And I like to follow the different blogs and stuff and see what they're doing.
Yay for you and the cats. Your director of marketing for the race, I'm sure.
They get treats.
Selling his image rights.
Yeah, I call him my head of marketing, and he gets paid in treats. So,
Aww, that's so cute.
Awesome. What about you, Chelsea?
Yeah, so like I said, one of my friends I met through TikTok, through some of the indie author romantic fantasy community there. She also got in. She was actually the one who messaged me to say, hey, wow, look, you're in there too. So her book, The Song of Thysia, it is high fantasy. It's like high stakes politics. So definitely, like, our books are definitely very different. But since we're buddies, we were like, let's do a book away. So we are starting out the contest with that. We are giving away both of our books and doing a whole thing on TikTok. And then I've been a part of, there's a few Stuff Your Kindle type days throughout the year that different websites put on. And I was just a part of one in April, and that really boosted my Kindle Unlimited reads for a little while, even though the ebook was free for a few days or for one day. It really boosted my Kindle Unlimited page read. So I plan to go into that again. And when I do, I will start marketing as, hey, this is also in SPFBO. So like, if you were wondering, like, let me grab something from there, it'll be free. So hopefully this summer I'll be able to do that as well. Otherwise, I plan to just stock all the blogs and everybody's the different reviews and stuff. I can't wait to see just what books start to like pull out and shine, because I really want to. I plan to go through the list again, kind of, and just do the quick synopsis, pull the ones that really grab me, and then really look at the ones that are pulled out for that second round and try and read all of those to see, like, what is it really that these wonderful bloggers of fantasy, what is it that they're really loving about the fantasy? Because my favorite part about fantasy is seeing how we take this thing of magic and this old world feel, and how do we all manipulate it differently? Because it all has that element, that feel that's the same, but there's all these different little tidbits we take and we shape to our own way. And I love to see what other people do. Like mermaids who are trapped in a tank. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm reading that. So like I'm just pulling that one right out. You know what I mean? So I plan to mostly just shout out about it to my followers and newsletter and things like that. I try and stay in the community as much as I can and make friends and things. And it's really wonderful.
Yeah. And all of our TBRs are crying with our readers, but we're so happy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And the book with the wolf, and like, it's just gotta have all of these.
I can add a new floating shelf to my wall back here, like a whole new, and it's like 60 inches. It is huge, and I'm like, well, the last one fell down, so I gotta add a new.
We gotta have Sandra's debut, since we're such a part of our
yeah.
Too. Sandra, what about you? Did you come in with any like SPFBO strategy, or are you sort of going with the flow? And have you looked at the blog you're assigned to?
So I'm learning in the moment that I have a lot of things I need to do. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry that my eye has been off the ball. We are in the middle of moving to Montana, and I am definitely going to dive into all the things. But yeah, no, I'm so sorry that I am not aware of what blog I'm assigned to, because I'm like, oh dear, I will definitely fix that problem.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. So like, I have a couple questions about that. Are we supposed to give our books to our bloggers?
So when you enter the SPFBO competition, like the form,
Yeah.
and you were selected by Mark during the drawing,
Yeah.
he makes sure that your book that you entered gets to the bloggers. So
Oh,
we
that's
don't
awesome.
contact the bloggers at all, pretty much at this point. I think that might be one of the rules. We don't contact the bloggers at all
Oh,
until
okay, good.
after.
Good, because I'm like, I have not contacted my blogger.
Yeah, no, they should have that file, the EPUB that you
Okay.
upload,
Okay,
and then
that's
the cover
fantastic.
and
I'm happy to
everything.
hear that. So
Yeah.
anyway, obviously I need to do better, but I'm excited about being a part of this community. Because one of the things about nowadays in publishing is like the volume of content that's out there is a little overwhelming, and being able to find a pathway to having people be aware of your work is such a pleasure. Like, that's so great. And because like you just toil in obscurity for so long as a writer, and I look forward to not being obscure. I hope. maybe I'll just continue to toil in obscurity.
End goals. There are more end goals.
Yeah. No, the thing about SPFBO is we learn as we go, and you can be as involved or withdrawn and viewing as you want to be. Like, don't feel guilty in any way. I mean, I think it's super helpful for people who watch these vlogs who are considering doing this themselves to know, oh, the next year, if I'm going to do SPFBO, maybe I should have a plan. Or, you know what, I'm okay going in with no plan, which is totally valid,
Yeah, but I think having a plan is a good idea. Like, I didn't know I needed a plan, so now that I know I need a plan, I'm going to work on that. But I'm like, oh, it is definitely exciting to be part of this, and I will definitely also pay attention to the books that were chosen and work on reading some of those, because it's a lovely way to curate content and make sure that people who have worthy books get read.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year in SPFBO 9, most of the finalists had strong character driven stories. And we've been going on all these panels talking about our main characters, just around the board. And Sandra, I'm going to let you start us this time. Tell us a little bit about, if we pick up your book, who's the main character we're following in the story? You don't have to tell us what happens to him because we want to read the book. But who are we committing to follow?
So Cherbow Dumondet, like I said, daughter of the president of the Dome, and the president of the Dome is female president. So she has a strong mom, and she has a brother and a sister and a dad, and a lot happens to her right away. And she is sort of the best hope for unraveling a lot of mysteries that have been happening inside the Dome. And so she's in the upper tier of the Dome society, and it slowly becomes aware of what is happening with other tiers inside of the Dome. And so happily she's pretty competent, but she's only 17, so she's got to work on learning quite a few things to be able to triumph over the obstacles that are coming her way. And just this world has lived inside of me for a couple decades, and the fun of being able to tell the story, for me, sometimes it just feels like I channeled a whole nother multiverse sometimes.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
For me, it's real over here, and I just right there, I take dictation from Cherbow.
Yeah.
And so it's been I also, somewhere in the future, will definitely have more of this story because I can't stop. I feel like I would be happy to write in this world for the rest of my life. I could just keep writing books because there's so many things that you could talk about. And then I also have a prequel that I started to do as a digital series, like an audio podcast thing. And so I would like to explore the world from the earlier perspective as well, when the dome was being built. But
awesome.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a big, big world, and Chabot is, for me, like super fun to follow how she experiences it.
That's awesome. It gives me sort of the classic feels I had watching Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. And then Gandalf being like, it's a very large world, Bilbo Baggins, and you're just a small fellow after all. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, the heartwarming. Yeah.
Thanks.
How about you, Kay? What main character are we following into your book?
Sorry, things cut out. Did you say my name?
Yeah. I was saying, tell us a little bit about your main character.
Okay, yeah, so the book follows Strider. He's the main character. He's been around the block a few times. He's experienced a lot in his life, and like I mentioned, the book starts with him basically at the end of an arc. His story should have ended at this point. And he has his loyal companion, Greer, who very much is the reason the book exists. And throughout the book, he's finding new purposes and new reasons to actually stick around and appreciate and explore the world again. He's very much the grumpy mentor type. He ends up with Addie. He becomes her protector through the book, and he's finding a reason as he's dedicating his time and basically his life to get her home, and forming an attachment with a teenage girl. He's not been around teenagers for a couple decades. He's pretty much just been with his wolf. And now he has to deal with a very opinionated young lady, and his personality is very quiet, very stoic, very logical, and she's a lot more emotionally driven and is used to more like court and stuff like that. So it's really fun it's really fun how his personality contrasts with hers, and they drive each other nuts as they're learning to coexist together and figure each other out. And as more of his life and his past experiences, you really get to learn how he became the way he is, and the whys and the reasons he does what he does, as he learns more of her. And one of the things that he always ends up doing, he knows his dog, his wolf, manipulates him all the time, but he still lets him get away with it because he's just really cute, and he's very attached to that wolf. Like, he's very, very, like, I don't know, I guess if you've ever heard the would kill you, but inside he's a cinnamon roll, that's what he is, because he does have a tendency to adopt cute things. So, but yeah, that's basically his story. It's definitely more of the journey and the growth of the characters.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love the manipulative wolf. It may be but I still care.
Yeah.
I love the cinnamon rolls who will kill you. They're my favorite.
They're mine too, so I'm a little biased.
The witty dolphin manipulating them. I'm like, yes. Chelsea, how about your main character?
Yeah, so Ashara, you meet her in the very first chapter as she's being taken from her home. She is the ward of the Queen of Hyrithia, and so she has grown up not as a royal, but in that setting. And her brother, who's not brother by blood, but they consider each other siblings, he has come down with what's called the Black Fever that kills people off within 3 days. It just hits everybody randomly. They get a fever and their fingers turn black and swirls fall down their wrists, and then they're dead. And the medicus conduits, these are magical people. They're like doctors. They can't figure out what's going on. And the only person who seems to have a cure for this is the Baron Heimlin of this forest where magic is siphoned, and he trains these channelers into conduits to become different jobs throughout the Isle. And he comes to the queen and says, I can cure this for you, but you have to give me Ashara. And so that's the very first chapter. That's when we meet her, is when she's literally being taken from the castle. And she doesn't want to do it, but she understands the importance of doing it to save her people. And so her plan is to go and pretend like she is not powerful. And so what ensues is basically this very sassy 19-year-old woman who is very resistant, even though the first time she sets foot in Felgren, she immediately feels that sense of belonging and that understanding of like, oh, like this is the piece of me that's been missing, because she's just like siphoning this power. She tries to lie her way through training and pretend like I can't do this. And some of her magic is definitely influenced by her inner turmoil and anger. And so every time she gets mad and frustrated, you know, she grows even more beautiful flowers, or she's just like really, she's even better at her magic. Yeah. And so she just kind of, there's these other people training with her, and, you know, she starts to like develop a friendship with them. And so she's so resistant. And eventually she kind of just gives up. She's like, well, all right, fine. And when she's given a purpose with this blight that's raging through the forest and killing it, she really takes that on. And she's like, okay, now I have a real reason to be here and a real reason in my life for the power that I have. And so we see her character journey in that way, as she finds friends, as she falls in love, and as she just finds that sense of belonging in this forest. And what I think one of my favorite things about her character is there's a lot of that inner monologue of hers that I really enjoy writing, because, you know, as once being a young teenage woman, right, I was able to really reflect on those times in that kind of turmoil a lot of us have gone through in those early 20, like, what am I doing? What is the point of my life? What am I going to do with this thing? And we really see her going through that process. And I love that journey for her as she goes through a lot of things that I've been through in my own life. That was really my favorite thing to write about Ashara.
That's great. I love the depth there and how it's like, well, we need you to do this, and it's like her duty competing with her rights as a living person.
Yeah. There's a lot of, you know, that inner conflict until she finally, it's like that step of like, I guess I'm going to step up and do this, you know, and we really get that from her. I think it's really well done personally. As the author, I loved that part of the book. Yeah.
And so last but definitely not least, you've been hyping us up on this mermaid this whole time, Rebecca. Tell us about the main character in your book.
Yeah. So there are two main characters. One is the mermaid, whose name is Erie. All the mermaids are named after the Great Lakes or bodies of water in Michigan, because that's where I'm originally from. And then the male main character, who is like the main character, his name is Finn Finnegan, and he lives in Key West, because I love Key West. And I was like, well, if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to set it where I eventually want to go, and then like write off a little vacation. Like, it was research. So he's kind of like your average 21-year-old dude. And he's what was it? My favorite 1-star review called him a basic bitch, which is absolutely him. I loved it. And he's like not the best person. He's actually sort of the antagonist for the first half of the book, whereas Erie would be the protagonist. She's the one that's captured. She's the one that's trying to figure out what to do. Like, he's just trying to train a mermaid. She's trying to figure out how to stay alive, type of thing. And then halfway through the book, it switches, and he's no longer the antagonist. He's fully on board with getting her out, and somebody else becomes the antagonist, and she's like the owner of the company, because obviously she doesn't want to give up a mermaid. yeah, I had to start Finn being kind of an asshole because he goes through this big character arc. And if you're already a nice guy, you're not going to work at the place that tortures mermaids. Like, that's not going to be your career choice. So he's kind of a jerk in the beginning. It can be a little bit hard to follow him in the beginning, but he was a lot of fun to write because I could just say whatever I wanted. And I was like, well, he's a jerk. So I said it. Sorry. Which is, you know, that's sort of also what's making book 2 harder. He's had his arc. He's a better person now. He's not as fun to write.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for being here on the middle of a Saturday to end off this Blitz with an amazing panel. I am so excited for all the books. And I really do wish you all the best of luck, even though we're all in this together. Hi, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Named after the seashells in Key West.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Seriously, good luck. I hope to see some of these names up on the semifinalists. There's too many good books to choose from. And if you're watching and you would like to catch up on any of the Blitz panels you missed from my channel or Baldwin Balding's BookTube channel, go ahead and check out that playlist at the top of my channel. You will see that there's a couple upcoming videos still on the playlist because in the middle of June, I will be back with some SPFBO authors who are going to read excerpts from their books live.
Amazing.
Those are going to start being added to that same playlist. So you can just subscribe to get the notifications and you can actually come tune in. It's like a look inside, but better because you get to read 15 minutes or so of these people's books in their own words. But thank you all for being here. Take care, everybody.
Thank you
Katherine,
so much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.